What's going on, everyone? So there's talks about Donovan Mitchell potentially being on the trade block this summer, not because Cleveland necessarily wants to trade him, but there is the concern and the risk that if he doesn't sign an extension, he could be a flight risk. And Cleveland can't risk losing him for nothing. Cleveland has to end up keeping or either keeping or trading to get a return for Donovan Mitchell. All right. Now, problem is what does that look like? What teams really would be interested in him? I mean, there's several teams that I think would be interested, but what really makes sense for him? He's not going to want to go to a bad team. Right? He's not going to want to go to a team that's going to have to retool and stuff, right? Like Miami kind of makes some sense. And Miami wanted him in the last go around. He really wanted the Knicks, and the Knicks thought they had him, and then they played with fire and were like, good luck, go find a better deal. And Cleveland came in and, Utah was like, okay, we found one. And completely just stuck and ended up getting him. But with Jalen Brunson, I don't think that makes sense per se. I didn't think it made sense back then. It was like, why? Like they're the same player essentially. And they're both tiny, right? They're both undersized. So what team could immediately become one of, if not the best teams in basketball? What team can kind of mask Donovan Mitchell's weaknesses while maximizing his strengths? And there's one team that immediately jumps out, and that's the Houston Rockets. I have been more spot on. Two teams that I've been more spot on than anything have been the Phoenix Suns the last few years and the Houston Rockets. I even said Houston might be worse with Kevin Durant. People told me I was crazy, called me every name in the book, told me I don't know what I was talking about. One of us were right. If the Lakers were not completely injured, right? They'd probably beat Houston. I still wouldn't be shocked if the Lakers end up beating Houston, right? But the one thing that they need more than anything is shot creation, right? They need shot creation. They need scoring. They need a guy that can handle and make plays and make reads and stuff like that. Donovan Mitchell and the Houston Rockets might make Houston the best team in basketball. Obviously, it depends on what they have to give up and what they end up trading. But to me, you got to keep him in, Thompson. Because he's just, one, is just ridiculous. But two, he's your best defensive player, best kind of utility guy. After that, I think everybody should be available. Obviously not Kevin Durant, but outside of that, if you had to trade Alperen Sengun, I would try to keep him, but I think you're fine, right? Especially if you get Donovan Mitchell, I don't think you need as much of his as much of his scoring, right? You could almost make the argument that you're better off with somebody like a Clint Capella that can just be that, obviously Steven Adams, but be that interior presence, be that lob threat, be that rebounder, give you second chance opportunities, right? I think at that point you need more of a defensive center, right? And if you have that, then again, I think you're in great shape. But let's, stash Sengun to the side for a moment. I think a package centered around Jabari Smith Jr. and Reed Sheppard, which, I know a lot of Houston fans really like Reed Sheppard, but you're getting Donovan Mitchell probably for the next 5+ years. And with Kevin Durant, you're in win now mode. I talked about this when they got Kevin Durant. I was like, it doesn't make any sense unless they go all in. If they were going to go get a Kyrie or something like that in the offseason, it was yeah, sure, that makes sense. But they did it, right? They thought Kevin Durant by himself was going to be enough to catapult this team. And it's no, right? They turned two shot creators, two scorers into one, who, don't get me wrong, is going to be more consistent and in tight games going to be able to close, but you lost so much with that. And I understand Fred VanVleet being out and Steven Adams, stuff like that. I still don't think this team is winning a championship, right? Maybe they would have been a little better, but again, Donovan Mitchell gives them everything that team needs. Gives them a secondary shot creator, makes it so teams can't defend the Houston Rockets like they do, where they throw two at Kevin Durant, make him into a playmaker. So you do that, Donovan Mitchell, he's going to cook you. He's a proven playoff performer, proven playoff scorer, right? So to me, you got to give something to get something, right? And so I think if you get off Jabari Smith Jr., get off of Reed Sheppard, right? I wouldn't mind keeping Fred VanVleet. Would he be willing to come off the bench and be that kind of secondary guy for you? I mean, hell, you could even start him next to Donovan Mitchell. Be a little small in the front court. I would personally rather go bigger, right? At that point, can you keep Tari Eason, right? So ideally, I look at imagine Donovan Mitchell, Tari Eason, Kevin Durant, Amen Thompson, and Alperen Sengun, let's say. I think you're the best team in basketball. And you'd still have guys, you'd still keep Jayshawn Tate if you want to, Josh Okogie if you want to, right? You'd still have Steven Adams, Clint Capella, guys like that. Like Dorian Finney-Smith, unfortunately, hasn't worked out for them, right? Like, so, do you maybe move off of him? But like, again, at that point, I think you need 2 quality like bench pieces, maybe 3 quality bench pieces, and you're in great shape, right? On top of like what they have, right? Because you're getting off of Reed Shepherd, so you could kind of use, another player to kind of give that to you. In a perfect world, like I said, Fred VanVleet goes like, hey, I'm willing to come off the bench, give him a new contract, and then bring him off the bench, because then that gives you that guy that you can slot next to Donovan Mitchell, could back up Donovan Mitchell, gives you that versatility, gives you that flexibility, gives you another, shot creator, on ball, off ball type of guard that could really help that team. And again, you have enough size and athleticism and defense and stuff like that to really cause problems, right? Like, having Tari Eason as that athletic, versatile, two-way wing on top of Amen Thompson to just defend and mask Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell will still get after it defensively. So, I think you'd now have enough defense and enough kind of defensive versatility and athleticism around Donovan Mitchell and Kevin Durant to where now Kevin Durant could be that kind of secondary shot creator, be more that off-ball guy, which we know that's where he's best at. He thrives, and obviously he can shoot off the dribble and all that other stuff. But to give them a guy that can just go create, get a bucket, and then make things easy for Kevin Durant, kick out KD and stuff like that. Hopefully, Amen Thompson can take a step offensively. Hopefully, Tari Eason can kind of get back to what he was shooting the ball earlier in the season. I think you're in great shape, right? Like, again, I just, you got to give something to get something. So I don't think you'd be able to just get Donovan Mitchell with nothing, right? Like even just picks. And again, you have to match salaries and stuff like that. So it gets a little complicated, but like out of all the teams that could land Donovan Mitchell, the one team I look at and go, that might be the best team in basketball with him, it's Houston. It's Houston. That's exactly what they need. A high level, just bucket getter. And going and get somebody like him. And then if you can keep Şengün, then if you don't like, if it's like, we don't really need Şengün for like what he does, we need a more defensive center, you can always go flip Şengün into stuff. Like there's plenty of teams that would take Şengün. You go turn him into a more defensive minded center. And then, could you maybe like trade him for, Walker Kessler or something like that? Would Utah be willing to do that? Like, hey, here, take Şengün and get Walker Kessler. You get other stuff attached to it, but like, could you maybe get something like that to where now you got that defensive anchor on the interior on top of Amen Thompson and Tari Eason with Kevin Durant? I mean, you're big, you're strong, you're athletic, you're versatile, probably the best team in basketball. But anyways, always, this is a discussion. I pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. Enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.